fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live for the reflections and the Father Day appreciation of the time that if you are a father, this is your day. We got Chet Perry in the building. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, Chet, if you are a father, and thank we had some interesting fights yesterday, to say the least. Very interesting. Terramona did his thing. 8-0, 8 KOs. Christopherville Ranch. It looks like we're back on, people. Hello, everyone. Sorry I had technical difficulties. I'm in somewhere in Texas. Somewhere with 4G, no 5G. No 4G, no 5G. No, it's 4G again, no 5G. So, yeah. It's been kind of tough. But kind of messes with your flow, honestly. Okay, we're back again. There we go. So, but was good. It was a Moroshi, right? Put him down, took him away. So we have stars in the making. That's what I saw yesterday. Stars in the making. Hitchens did a great job with Kambosos. He boxed him, he broke him down, and Kambosos is a tough customer. He's a tough competitor, former champion, and he was doing pretty good. He just was no match for the younger, stronger fighter, which now is 18-0 with, I believe, 10 knockouts. Andy Cruz took out his opponent. Terramona did his thing once again. Very successful in the amateurs. So now he's coming in onto the pros. So he is the new wave of new blood that is flooding the shores of America and Great Britain and Australia, worldwide. So I look forward to seeing what the division and what the fights are having to being made. I'll let people come in. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. So you have a father, give me a thumbs up in the chat to let me know that you're a father or you're a father figure, right? So give me a thumbs up if you will you. Okay, what the hell is this? Interesting. There we go. But I think that Andy Cruz speaking of fathers, telling Keyshawn Davis that, hey, I'm your father. That was pretty crucial, especially it's Father's Day, go figure. So that was catchy. Those guys should fight. Andy Cruz should fight Keyshawn Davis. And Keyshawn, I don't know what's going on with him and his brothers and stuff like that. They allegedly did some kind of jacked up stuff. So, I think that has to clear up or, clear the ways first, because people are going to be talking about that for a while, based on what he did. But for everybody that just came in and on the chat, give me a thumbs up if you're a father. Happy Father's Day to you guys. Let's talk about some boxing, man. Let's talk about some boxing. Let's get it started. Let's go, people. Let's go. I've been partial to smaller towns lately. I think I'll move to a smaller town. The big city is not really it for me no more. I want to be somewhere small. Then I can, sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name. Sometimes, right? If you're living right, whatnot. But yeah. So Hitchens did his thing. He really kind of took me back. I was taken aback from what he said about Bill Haney and Devin Haney. That was like, okay. Signed with T.O. and then T.O. was there. That might have been set up. You know what I mean? And I think that pretty much was, because T.O. knew to go into the ring and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. Let's see. Come on. There we go. All right. Sure. I didn't get any. Sorry. I just received like 10 comments at one time. Bill knows boxing. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Here at Gate, Cambosos has a glass liver. To be fair, I think a lot of people have glass livers. I know I do. You hit anyone in the liver, really, that's what's going to happen to them. The liver you will drop getting hit with a liver shot. That's no joke. Someone hits you to the liver, it's going to sting, and you're going to feel your legs collapse. It's you with a liver, with a left hook, and they know how to throw it. They know how to punch. Oh, yeah. They'll put you down every time. And Cambosos, you can tell, I mean, he got hit with that shot, and he got up, but it wasn't, no. Because the only thing was going to happen, he was going to get hit more and more, because he had to worry about getting hit with that shot or trying to recover, and he's going to be protecting that punch. Meanwhile, all this is exposed. All of it. He's going to feel this thing real soon. So the ref was good to stop it. Eddie Cruz, he's one hell of a fighter. Eddie, he's one hell of a fighter. He's one hell of a fighter. But nobody knows his name. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Alex, hello. Kurt, hi guys. Hello, Alex. If you are talking trash about someone, fight. That's true. No one wants a liver shot. Mr. Cambos, Mr. Undisputed Warrior. Yeah, Cambosos did his thing, man. I mean, he's speaking like a true veteran, because that's what he is, a true veteran. But yeah, T.O.'s known for beating Loma, and Cambosos is known for beating T.O. So I think that's fair. One and done. Both fights, 2 fights, right? Or actually 3 fights, and all of them were 1 apiece. T.O. fought Loma, never to return. Then T.O. fought Cambosos, never to return. So it actually is 2 fights. Yes, Kurt, E6 Colchester in the house. Costas Christofi, counterpunch to you, bro. Counterpunch to you. So how's everybody doing, man? Because after that live stream, bro, I was out. Focus on driving, pimp. Yeah, that's what I'm focused on doing. It's right here. It is right here. But yeah, nobody wants a liver shot. Nobody wants to get punched in the liver. Really, liver, and what people forget about the gallbladder. You get hit in the gallbladder, that'll put you down too. That will put you down too. But no, I think that Andy Cruz, yeah, it's time for him to make a splash, because with someone with that type of amateur pedigree, Cuban or not, it doesn't matter. I think if someone wants to be another Lomachenko, I think Andy Cruz should be that, because yeah, he's getting those fights in, but Lomachenko came into the business in the pros with something to prove. He didn't have time to mess around and tune up or warm up or anything up. He was already up. So Lomachenko, in his third professional fight, really, it should have been his second. I had to jump off, unfortunately, last night. Hope all is well. The fights were good. Yeah, the fights were good, man. They were decent, you know. We had knockouts. Each of the fighters that were promoted, that were showcased, got a stoppage. You can't ask for anything more than that, besides better competition or a better challenge for the guys that eventually stopped their opponents. You know, that could always be better. The opposition could always be better. You know what I mean? But hey, they got the knockouts. They got the they didn't need the scorecards. So it was a good night of fights. It was a good night of fights. Great career for Kambosos. More money, more great fights. Loma, Haney, Teofimo, undisputed. Very, very good career. I mean, he can't be mad about anything. Was he the best? No. Did he fight the best? Of course he did, in his weight class. He fought them all, like he said. I fought damn near everybody. I fought Teo, I fought Devin Haney, I fought Lomachenko, you know. And hey, that's more than a lot of people can say they done. You know what I mean? Like, you had Teo, sure, he fought Loma, but ain't fought nobody else. You know what I'm saying? He fought Devin. Devin has fought Loma, has fought Ryan, had fought Kambosos. So Devin can talk, because Devin has the resume. Ryan fought Tank, Ryan fought Devin. Unfortunately for him, he got caught with drugs in his system, so he can't get credit for his win. So he's one of those guys that got in his own way of success, because everybody's seen what he did. But now, unfortunately, for Ryan, we don't know if it was the Osterine that was pushing his morale and pushing his workouts and pushing his performance. We don't know that until he shows us otherwise, because based on his last performance, he didn't test positive for anything, but it was a trash performance. It was almost, he fought like, I can't say Devin Haney, because Devin Haney at least won. He just didn't win in a way that appeased to the fans, that showed that he's confident, that showed he fought scared. You can win a fight fighting scared, but that's one of those, hey, I won, but I really lost type shits. You know what I mean? Hey, yeah, I won, but nobody cares because you suck. Nobody's wanted to see you hold or run. Because Devin will do that, though. Devin will punch you and hold you like he's in love with you. You know, that's more annoying to me than someone that moves a lot. Because to me, someone that moves a lot and they don't punch back, they're just busy trying to move. Well, it's up to the fighter to cut them off. Cut off the ring, break them down, go to their body, slow them down, beat them up, and stop them. And then they can't move. You know what I mean? Now they can't move. Is this Brookshire's brothers? Oh, that's Brookshire's. Like, seriously. I mean, you have an overall obligation, objective, and that ain't to move as much as possible or hold because you can't fight in the pocket. But that's just my personal opinion. I can't stand people that clinch a lot. That's why I could not stand Hector Camacho. Who do you think Kambosos fights next? His couch? You know, Kambosos, if he wanted to make, a few more quid, he could do that. I mean, he could fight some people. He could be that gatekeeper that, comes there to see, hey, if this guy's about whatever he's about. But let me tell you about Ryan. He's yellow. He took some sneaky shit. He's never going to be great like me. Roy Jones Jr. Oh, man. Well, got to keep it real, though. Roy tested positive before for some stuff. Now, here's the thing that people don't talk about with Roy. Roy got tested positive. I can't remember what he got popped with. And I can tell you why it doesn't matter, and I can't really remember. Because the guy that he fought was also dirty. So he was in there with a guy, fighting a guy dirty with some kind of whatever in his system. But the guy was too. So you had two guys that were sneakily trying to get an edge, fighting each other. That's what happened. Yeah, but boxing knows, Bill knows boxing. Let me tell you about Ryan. He yellow, and he took some sneaky shit, and he ain't never gonna be great like me, because I'm the greatest. I fought everybody. Ryan, he had to take drugs. I don't take drugs. You need drugs to fight? Look like you trying to psych yourself up because you scared to get hit. But Mohammed Rayhan, salute. Counterpunch to you, brother. Your opinion, Kambosos Hall of Fame? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, based on the criteria, lineal champion, unified lineal champion, George Kambosos. He did his thing against Tio, had one hell of a fight, but I think all of that, honestly, at 135, between those guys, they were all incomplete. Because it was like you had interesting fights that could have continued. Now, I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of rematches, as you guys know, but some fights, though, deserve a run back, especially if they're close, especially when someone felt they could have done better, or I think there is grounds for a rematch. Teofimo, if he wasn't so arrogant, he should have fought Loma again. And then if he would have beat him easier the second time, then you could fully give him his props, because it looked like Loma just started too late. And the thing is, I don't think that Loma would have fought Tio the same way. Loma would have came out and fought Tio. And Tio was good. You could tell he was obviously bigger than Loma. And he did exactly what he's supposed to do in the first fight. But just because you're not obligated to a contract or a rematch clause, I think it makes it better, because you can demand more money since you already don't have to fight him again. But Tio didn't use that to his advantage because he was an arrogant asshole. Period. He should have fought Loma again, and he didn't. He didn't fight him again, and it was like, okay, that's one and done. I didn't want it. Here's the thing. I didn't want to see Loma versus Devin Haney again. You know what I mean? Because, see, Devin Haney is not that type of appeal that people really like. And that's the truth. Don't like Devin Haney. If he was more of a banger, and that's what's wrong with the lightweight division. You got a lot of there. Not really. People like Tank fights because Tank produces knockouts most of the time. Those dudes don't. Those dudes will just fight you, hold you, or run like hell, and do too much moving and call themselves, hey, I'm a better boxer than you. But you have to show that you are there to fight, not there to box and hold and pretend like you're fighting one guy and expecting the ref to help you fight that one guy. Because that's what it seems like to me. When you hit someone with a two-piece and then you grab them and lock them up and clinch, because you're afraid of those guys punching you back. So you have to physically grab them to keep them from fighting you. Get swells and He's been there. We've seen him pieced up. He had some friendly fire. Because he's a very fair-skinned guy. You know what I mean? He's fair. So you can see every abrasion with him. But one thing about Tank, you hit Tank, Tank's gonna hit you back, and you may not like what's coming back. So I look forward to the Lamont Roach versus Tank Davis fight. But understand, he was also spared due to protection. So Tank is still protected because he's one of the last American resistance. So you have Tank, you have Canelo. So Canelo, Tank, Crawford. Ryan Garcia is on a hiatus because we don't really know what his status is. We don't know how good he is actually going to be because the jury's not in on him yet. We have to see if he can still duplicate the same performance he had against Devin Haney. If he's never able to do that again, people are going to be at liberty to say he's a drug cheat and he can't fight without drugs. And it's fair to also say, which people are going to do, maybe he was on the shit the whole time and he was just able to cycle off. And, I think that drugs are not the whole thing. You don't just take drugs and get good. No, you have to also train. So. Roy Jones Jr. and Richard Hall both tested positive for testosterone. Richard Hall. Wasn't Richard Hall the Jamaican? Wouldn't he was the Jamaican cat, right? That Roy just beat the shit out of round after round, and then when they stopped it, he was like, no! Because his ass was juiced up too. Arrogant caused T.O. from being a great fighter. Yeah. Jab and grab. Fury was extremely overrated in his skill set. Ryan is crazy. Yeah, those guys, they really disappointed me. I thought they were going to do a lot better than that. Honestly. I thought they were going to do a lot better than they did. But they didn't, and they didn't really show me anything. The two guys that stuck out were Lomachenko, first of all, because Loma wanted to fight everybody, and Loma had a very good career, and really Tank, because Tank knocked guys out. But Tank's problem was he was already spoiled from the selection of fights that he had and the fighters that he was in front of. He was in front of a lot of guys that were smaller than him. That was the problem with Tank, because Floyd spoiled him. So it is what it is. Fury is one of the GOATs of this generation. That's facts. Tyson Fury is one of the best fighters of this generation. He is. And you don't have to like Tyson Fury to understand that. If you don't believe me, well, who beat Tyson Fury? Who has beaten Tyson Fury? Alexander Usyk. So if you say Alexander Usyk is great and Tyson Fury therefore is not great, well, what makes it so much greater, or what makes you think or label Usyk being great? You have to beat very good fighters, or fighters that renown themselves as great fighters based on their accomplishments, right? To do anything, to be anything. He ain't an all-time great. That's delusional. Here's the thing. Tyson Fury fought Alexander Usyk twice. Anthony Joshua fought Alexander Usyk twice. Danny Dubois will fight Alexander Usyk again, and he will fight twice. He will fight 3 fighters 2 times apiece. Okay? Now, all of those guys are good fighters. Dubois, Joshua, Fury. According to Alexander Usyk, not Kurt DeVille, not Bill Knows Boxing, not Mohammed Rayhan, not Jay, not any of us. Alexander Usyk said that Tyson Fury was my toughest opponent. He was my best opponent. And based on the first fight, you could see why. The second fight, I think Tyson tried something that didn't work. He tried to go in there like he was Deontay Wilder, and that wasn't Wilder. The new narrative is the guys Usyk fought were washed. Well, that's fine. That's fine. You know, because I think people won't give credit where credit's due anyway. The narratives change based on what happens. So it's always an excuse to be made to keep from giving credit to the fighters where the credit needs to go to the fighters, and they don't want to give the credit to the fighters. Usyk deserves the credit for beating those guys. He beat them all. Everyone that he's ever fought, he's beat them. Tony Bellew was a beast. Tony Bellew wasn't coming off of no bullshit. He was coming off of the best wins of his career. He upset David Haye. Hey, David Haye was supposed to wash, cook, refry, cook Tony Bellew, and that didn't happen. That did not happen. Okay? That didn't happen at all. So what did happen? Tony Bellew got him out of there twice. Then Tony Bellew tried to challenge himself by taking on Usyk, and he did very well. And Tony Bellew is a good fighter. I don't give a shit what you say. He's a good fighter. So it is what it is. But Usyk found a way to knock his ass out, though. See, I mean, the thing is, you can't call yourself, you can't shit on the person that's on top and then shit on everybody at the bottom. Oh, you wasn't as good because you got beat by this one guy. Okay, that one guy has not been beaten. That one guy has no defeats. That one guy has showed everybody a loss. The question is, if you got one guy at the top, then you got all these fighters that he's beaten. Those fighters that he's beaten needs to find out where they really lie in division, you know, and sequence. So, in other words, we need to see AJ versus Fury. We've seen Wilder versus Fury. We've seen what that produces. We've seen Wilder is a dangerous puncher, and we've seen Tyson Fury is better than Wilder. That's what we learned about that. Those two guys, right? Okay, what do we know about Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? Nothing. Sure, we know who number one is for right now because he's beaten them all, which is fair. But at the same time, what about everybody else? We know who number one is. What about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8? 9, 10. That's what we need to figure out. Yeah, we got to see who number one is finally, because he's done the things necessary to become considered pound for pound number one and the top of the food chain in the weight division. And that's the problem with the lightweight division. We don't know who's number one because nobody's fighting. We can't get a concrete, transparent answer, you know? And those guys have gotten bigger anyway. So T.O.'s talking about going to welterweight, and Ryan's talking about going to welterweight or 140, and then you got people at 135 that ain't leaving 135, Stevenson, and then you got Tank, and you know, Tank just got his ass whooped, but got saved by a draw, right? So there's nothing really promising down there, you know, and I give all props to the content creators that stay with that type of patience, because I don't really have the patience to really make video after video about something that I'm not enthusiastic about based on no progress. Like I hear a lot of shit because I mean I watch other channels and I read, you know, what Shakur's doing and what Tank's doing and what Devin's talking about and what T.O. and Ryan. I do those, but I just don't have the patience no longer to cover those guys that are not doing shit. Luca is hiding. Well, there's a guy called Counter Ben waiting for them at welterweight. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, and you know, I look forward to it. I like Counter Ben. I know a lot of people got pissed at my channel. A lot of people were mad at me, and I'm like, what the hell are you mad at me for? I didn't do anything to you. Hell, I don't know how he had whatever he had in his system. twice. I know it was some bullshit that it tried to get covered up. I know that much. Because we saw that from Eddie Hearn before. And I know a lot of people kind of fell off or stopped watching. That's fine. You don't have to fucking watch if I'm telling the truth, because if I'm telling you how I feel about a situation, it doesn't matter who those guys are, who those people are. I'm still going to tell the truth. And the truth of the matter was, Eddie Hearn knew that Conor Benn had drugs in his system. The test didn't come back squeaky clean and negative all the way through. He knew that, but he also knew that before. So he's at fault. He has to be held accountable for the information that he already knew. We've seen this shit in 2019 when Dillian Whyte was still allowed to fight Oscar Rivas. When Oscar Rivas, dropped him in the 9th round, he had some kind of funny ass, they say it was contaminated after a while, but people are going to remember that. And then guess what? It happened again. So it's like, well, damn, how many times is your sample gonna get contaminated out of all the other fighters that test and nothing ever happens to the sample? It never gets contaminated. Ben needs to be more active. Fear is a fraud. Luca is extremely delusional. He twists up the truth very good. Mr. Zerto ducking. I think Zerto is ducking, though, honestly. Zerto Ramirez is ducking. And I think he knows, and you know why people duck. People duck because they don't want to get beat. They're afraid of losing. They're afraid of losing. They're afraid of getting their ass beat, because what happens to Zerto if he gets beat by Jai Apataya? Jai Apataya will then take and have all the belts at cruiserweight. And I think Zerto knows, hey, Jai needs me. Since Jai needs me, I can do whatever I really want. I have a bar, I have leverage, because I have something that he wants. It's almost like Wilder. I have the WBC. AJ has all the other belts. I have the WBC, though. So he needs me. The only question is, how much does he need me? White shouldn't be on a side card. I don't think that's our decision to make. Because when he wasn't on the Saudi cards, people were asking, where was he? So you see how that goes? Like, oh, he doesn't deserve to be on there. Well, when you didn't see him, you were really asking, where the fuck was he? So you can't have it both ways. Because I've heard people looking for Dillian Whyte when the days of reckoning was coming about. All this other stuff that was popping up, and there was no Dillian Whyte. Hey, Muhammad Rehan, that is absolutely right. So if you got Jarrell Miller on the card of Saudi Riyadh season, why couldn't you have Dillian Whyte? I think that would have made it that much better. Imagine Dillian Whyte there. So then you had two shit-talking Brits and two shit-talking American fighters. Really, Wilder wasn't talking shit. Wilder was there like Michael Jackson eating popcorn in the Thriller video. Remember Michael Jackson? He was just watching it, looking and, you know what I mean? He was watching and looking and observing and loving every minute of it. And Jarrell Miller was pretty much carrying the show. Imagine Dillian Whyte was there. That would have been dope. Why can't we have fights in the US or UK? I mean, we're going to have one of the biggest fights of the year in the UK at Wembley. We're going to have Danny Dubois versus Alexander Usyk. And Danny Dubois is going to be there, and it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a better fight than the second and than the first, because Danny Dubois is coming in with the kind of confidence that he needs, I feel. It's going to be a very good fight. Wilder talks trash when there is an ocean in between him and the target. That's somewhat true. However, though, I remember years ago, 6 years ago, or was it? Yeah, it was about 6 years ago. Wilder was on Good Morning Britain, right? Is it Good Morning Britain? And he was there. He was in the UK. And that's what pissed me off about AJ. I'm like, dude, you're not responding to this shit, and this dude comes to your country. He comes to your country and talks shit about you. It's not a good sign. I think he a coward. I think he's scared. But AJ, though, they got a weird kind of thing going. Because AJ didn't say anything publicly to Deontay Wilder. Not that you could hear. Wilder had said all this political bullshit, like this politician talk, like, yeah, you know, wish you nothing but the best, bro. It's good to be here, you know, with you on the same podium and all that. And Joshua didn't say anything. Joshua was like, yeah, all right, this motherfucker. You know, and what would have made it, because I don't think any of that was real. Because I know the shit Wilder was saying wasn't real. Why? Because when Wilder left that podium, he said that for the sake of sounding good. But once he left that podium, he said some more shit. Well, you know, I don't even think that they wanted to fight. They didn't even want to fight. They didn't want to fight. He could have said that to AJ. Well, y'all didn't want to fight me then? Why didn't he say that publicly? Versus AJ, here's the other flip side. AJ could have said, man, you talked a bunch of shit, so much shit in the last 6 years, that now that I see you face to face, now you have all the opportunity to tell me what the fuck you said about me to me right here, right now. That's what I would be thinking. If that's like me. Give me an example. Like me and Mr. Gomez. If you guys don't know Mr. Gomez, he's known as Boxing Ego. Boxing Ego, you know, had a lot to say about me to YouTube. And it's like, if I saw Boxing Ego then, it wouldn't be like, hey man, it was a pleasure to meet you. It was a pleasure to talk to you or see you and stuff like that. Like, no. What was this shit you were trying to say that I was trying to do to your channel and taking money from you and all this shit? What was that about? Then we could have addressed that then. That's the equivalent of everything, because that was years ago. That was 5 years ago. So, that being said, it was like, okay, Wilder's called AJ a coward. He called him scared. He called him false, a liar, contradictory resume, all this shit here. So that being said, it's like, okay, now I see you and we're all on the same podium. You think I'm gonna forget all that shit? You think I'm gonna throw that to the wayside and just, you know, call it a day? No, hell no. I'm not gonna call it a day. Hell no, I'm not gonna call it a day. What do you mean, call it a day? Call it a day for what? You know, that's what that's about. Now, to be fair, I don't think, because I apply that to my thing. If I seen Mr. Gomez out, would I approach him? It depends on what type of mood I was in. But if we were at a function together and I was near him, yeah, I would have been like, yeah, what's up? I know what you did. Yeah, you remember me. You know exactly who I am. You know what I mean? And then we would have had words then. I was pissed at a lot of those guys. I'm not as mad no more. I'm not as mad no more because I seen what was trying to happen in the YouTube boxing community. That's why I look at people and content creators a lot different than I look at, than I see it now. I learned a lot about guys like Showbiz, guys like Bruce Vane, guys like Ring IQ, you know, like guys like that I knew that had my back during those times versus the people that did not. And the people that did not were the same people that were trying to get me off of YouTube because they didn't like what I was saying, and it reflected their content because their content reflected what I was saying. My content was contradicting what theirs were saying. But guess what? It wasn't really about my words. It was about the people that watch those damn videos. That's what it was about. So if you see someone with 30,000 subscribers, then they're telling you, well, no, I'm telling you everything opposite of what that channel's saying, because I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Then you come back, then that same channel has 40,000 subscribers. Then you're like, fuck, we gotta get rid of this dude. This dude is talking too much. He's making 20, 30, 40,000 views per video, and he's making us look like we're lying. Well, you were lying, and it was all a lie. And we know what the lie was about. The lies were about Wilder claiming that somebody cheated him because he got his ass whooped. We all know that was a bunch of shit. People that had a brain, people that ever put on gloves, people that ever tore a muscle. You can't tell me that I had a torn muscle when I fought Tyson Fury, on top of Tyson Fury having shit in his gloves, on top of the ref against you two, on top of your trainer against you two, on top of the water against you two. The water was spiked. Okay, all that shit was a bunch of nonsense. And we all talked about it because we had nothing else to do. We were all locked down from COVID, so it gave us something to do. But we really didn't do anything but talk shit. You could make 3 or 4 videos a day. You didn't have shit else to do. You know? What, go to Dollar Tree or Walmart or some drive-thru to get some food, right? Because everything else was closed. It was some scary shit. It really was. But no, I mean, that whole thing was the issue. So going back to the original statement about AJ and Wilder and that podium and Dillian White I felt should have been there. Because it was almost Turki Al-Sheikh selected a bunch of guys that were in, or that were on fire right now, that were a point of interest right now. And he made them fight. You know, Otto Weiland was still Otto Weiland. Otto Weiland at that time only had one loss, and that was to Tyson Fury back in 2019, with one of the scariest fights that Tyson Fury actually ever had to deal with. Why? Because he got cut in places that he didn't, and he shouldn't have got cut in, but he got cut. And he got cut twice, and they were bad. That fight should have been stopped. That was one of the worst cuts that I've ever saw. But since it's Tyson Fury, the show went on. You know, so that showed you protection right there. Miller spoke for Wilder. He did. You know what I mean? He was kind of like that. He was like the fighter and the promoter. So he was fighting Daniel Dubois, and he made Daniel Dubois look like a stuttering, blabbling fucking idiot. So if Daniel Dubois would have actually lost, he would have been finished. Then Frank Warren would have signed Jarrell Miller. So if Jarrell Miller wasn't so fucking fat and pulled a Martin McCauley, and he could have actually beat Daniel Dubois would have been finished. And Frank said that. He said, well, hey, you got to show us something. This guy is out talking you. This guy is selling the fight. This guy is undefeated. You are not. You know, you just got beat by Alexander Usyk. You quit over a jab. Before that, you went down by a cruiserweight. You guys remember Kevin Ladana? Kevin Ladana was a cruiserweight that moved up to heavyweight. Then you got stopped by another cruiserweight that moved up to heavyweight. So yet, Frank Warren was going to can Daniel Dubois. So that was actually Daniel Dubois' last draw. Okay? That was his 9th life if he was a cat. Okay, because Frank was going to can him. And because, you know, Frank's been good to Daniel, bro. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, the Joe Joyce fight, okay. Setback, first loss, I get it. You know what I mean? He came for Trevor Bryant. He came. I think he went down 3 times. Don's had a bad few years, bless him. His ducking little socks. Only Usyk is the cat. Scariest heavyweight, you're obsessed with me. Fury is a fraud. You've had a bad life of diabetes and baldness. Damn. Shut up, biased fanboy. You've been showing a lot of hate against fighters for years. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are going at it, but no, man. The Days of Reckoning was definitely something that it was a reckoning. It was a reckoning for a lot of reasons, you know. But Daniel has done a good job, bro. He's shaped up. He's gotten laid. He's had a baby. You know what I'm saying? He's the champ. You know, this year, we'll see, because this is his first fight this year. So you went from, what was it, September? So it was September when he knocked out AJ. Wasn't it September when he took AJ out? When he destroyed AJ? Right? Wasn't it then? But nonetheless, man, you know, we're looking at, we're looking at Watts. Because everybody that I know that has fought Usyk lately, well, I can't say everybody, and in his second fight with Usyk, but he still lost both, no? So I think that's what matters. Like Dominic Toretto says, winning's winning. You know? September is the deadline. Yeah, man. But no, I just think, Kurt, if White can drag his fight with Atoma to later rounds, Mike can beat him with experience. I don't know. That's it. That's a big if. That's a big if, though. You know, you're looking at someone that has been knocking people out, and they're pretty much accustomed to seeing the opportunity, and they just press the gas and win the fight by pressing the issue, by throwing the shots and landing the punches, you know. But yeah, Dillian White, man, he's turned into a journeyman, and I don't know, man. It's just crazy how fighters and boxing is. You know, people like to think that boxing is like, okay, well, hey, you win some, you lose some type shit, but in reality, it's not. You get your ass whooped a couple times, you're finished. People will start looking at you, because we're so unforgiving when it comes to boxing anyway. AJ, Fury, and Wilder are done. Time to clean house. Can't take uppercuts, he will lose. I don't know, man. I think it's more than uppercuts, because remember when Jermaine Franklin hit him and he had him kind of, he had him wobbly? Dillian White has a switch. All you got to do is find it. And I don't even think it has to be the uppercut no more, because I don't remember Jermaine Franklin landing an uppercut, but I do remember him buckling Dillian White. He called Dillian's. Though you can see those legs, bro. Dillian should be about 235 pounds. Anything over that is too big. Because you've seen Dillian. Dillian walks around like he's this big, massive guy. Which he is. He is a big dude. But his frame doesn't fit his weight. It's like he gains too much weight to support his legs. You know? They're all over the place. If you see them fight, it's the funniest shit. Next time you want to see Dillian White fight, watch his legs. That's the fun. His legs are all stuttery and kind of, unbalanced and shit. Like he has two left legs, two left feet. You know what I mean? It's some funny shit to see. It really is. I want to see Dave Allen fight Wilder. Okay. I want to see that shit too. I want to see it because Dave Allen, based on what he's done in the last 2 fights, if he can punch, if he can catch Wilder, he could probably hurt him. You know, but understand, just because the idea of hitting someone is a lot different than actually hitting him. Especially with Wilder, because Wilder's not going to fight him like that. He's not a Fisher. He is not Fisher at all. Wilder is the guy that's going to step back and he's going to come in with that paw and jab. And if you do come in to try to engage, he's going to throw that fucking right. And if it lands, that might be your ass. It's over with. If he lands, that may be over for you. That's the reality of it. So if he catches Dave Allen and Dave trying to land with that left hook or that right hand, trying to get in there. If he can get Wilder on the ropes and has his back against the ropes, he can do something because Wilder can't do shit going backwards. Everyone knows that. If you know anything about Deontay Wilder, if you study Deontay can't do anything off the ropes. Now, here's the catch. He can lean against the ropes and spring off the ropes like he did with Ortiz. Because he used it forward, but it was just still him coming forward, right? So he just used the ropes to spring forward over the momentum, and he threw the right hand and caught Luis Ortiz. And that was when Luis Ortiz, 40-some years old, come on, he was 40-some-odd years old, and then he was a bit tired because he just tried to knock out Wilder in the 7th, and he beat him the 8th and the 9th round, and then this was the 10th round, and Wilder comes off the ropes and hits him with a punch that he didn't think Wilder was fast enough to deliver at that fight or at that time in the fight, and he got his ass caught, and then Wilder fouled him a couple times, threw him into the ropes, right? And then when he got up, he was no good anyway because he was rabbit punched a couple times and he was hit with a good shot and he was tossed into the ropes. That bullshit referee, he refereed last night. I forget his name. He was a big bald-headed bastard. He was the same guy that refereed Vladimir versus Joshua. So if somebody can look him up, bald-headed dude, big tall bastard. You know, he's a tall referee. Come and see me, Don, and I'll end your sad little grooming life. Damn. We're talking about ending lives here, guys? Kurt, where is Zerto? Alex, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I don't know, man. But I mean, the last thing we heard of Zerto was hating on Jaya Pataya. And I can't stand that. And it puts me in the mind of when Derek James used to, that he talked shit about Terrence Crawford. And we all know what happened to Errol Spence. He ain't fought since. Damn, dude, that's a Ford. It's a Mercury. Kurt, your channel is filled with insane individuals. Do you believe Fury will come back again? I mean, if he does, he'll never be like he was. Bars. I mean, he won't be. Yeah, I just don't think that he would be like the center of attention like he was, because people are already sick of Tyson. People are tired of him doing the same shit. He's retired twice already. Well, this is it since 2022. He's retired 3 times. Dark Slagle, counterpunch to you. Crazy, insane individuals. That's it. That's exactly right. Guy gets his fucking home destroyed by a tornado. What are you gonna do? We're going to fucking rebuild. I'm like, insane, dude. Just move. Because obviously your house got tore the fuck down by nature. You go with nature, not against it. Everyone should know that. That should be a worldly rule that you should follow. I think Adelaide can beat Hergoving. Maybe. If Adelaide can punch him, he can. Because Adelaide can punch. He reminds me of Bermain Stavern. I don't know why. Maybe his demeanor. Maybe. I don't know. Luca never forgot Dubois' duckhead partner. Luca never forgot Dubois, Duck Parker. Well, it ain't gonna matter. It ain't like Tyson gonna come in here and fight Joseph Parker. I'll say this about Tyson Fury for right now, to say the least. I haven't witnessed anything from him getting shit for drunk and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. After what Zhang did to Wilder, I'm not sure I want to see Wilder with any top tier heavyweight. Well, I can't see that. I think he deserves the fight that he's gonna do on Black Box Prime. It's coming on pay-per-view, July 27th. So you guys, pay-per-views there. I think that'll be dope. I agree. Bermain Stavern would have KO'd Hergoving. I am ready to die in the ring. I am not playing. I'm ready to kill. Wilder knocked his ass. Wilder just looked at him. Put his arms down like. And he knocks. Yeah, it was a reckoning. He did Bermain Stavern like he did Charlie Z. But bro, I would find you and kill you. You do some shit like that to me. Matter of fact, fuck the gloves. I'm gonna start punching you. You're gonna give me some gloves and I'm putting them on and you start swinging at me. You cunt. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you down. Wilder even struggled with Ortiz. Listen. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Luis Ortiz was nobody to play with. I don't give a shit. Andy didn't want to fight Ortiz when he thought that he was, he fought him when he knew that, hey, he's low-hanging fruit. Now let me fight Ortiz. He didn't want to fight him when he could have fought him when he was about himself. Andy was scared. No, I don't think I'm ready for Ortiz. No, I'm not ready for that fight. Yeah, Andy, that's why I started, when Andy started bullshitting after he lost to AJ and lost all of his belts and he was all fat and shit. And when he ducked Dillian and then they had that rivalry back and forth, I didn't really care for that. Yeah, I lost more and more respect for Andy. Then he fought, I want to say Chisora, but it wasn't Chisora. It was Areola. Yeah, he ducked a lot of good people, man. And I wanted to see the White fight at that time. I wanted to see what White could do with Andy. Because, see, Andy got dropped by Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua was fearless. The Anthony Joshua that he fought second, he was a different dude. Andy preferred Snickers to fighting. I like Snickers and I like sushi only if it's off a naked chick. They put olive oil on her first, then they put the sashimi on top. The sashimi's right there with a coochie. I like to eat that first. So good. There's so many fighters we never got. There's so many fights we never got. That's true. There's a lot of fights we did not get. And it sucks. To be fair. XK Shots, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Luis Ortiz of KO Fury. I don't know about Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury knows how to move and he was elusive, but there's a lot of fights that could have happened that Luis Ortiz probably would have ended up beating the shit out of somebody, you know? And I do think Eddie Hearn traded Luis Ortiz off of his roster or his stable because he felt that this dude that doesn't speak English is going to beat everybody that I have. And I'll be damned I'm going to let that happen. He's not marketable enough to keep on my stable because it's going to be hard why people are going to question why I don't have Ortiz, an undefeated Cuban fighter, fighting other undefeated guys like AJ or guys like Dillian White. Yeah, it's going to be hard to, you know, because if he made the Dillian White fight with Ortiz and Ortiz beat Dillian White, there's only the other option. So eventually they're going to be like, wait, dude, Ortiz knocked out Dillian White. So now who do you got? AJ. I'm 260 shredded. Damn. I would beat your player in 6 feet, 260. Do you believe Ortiz is 46? Nah, Ortiz is about 51, 52. He's in his 50s. Because, I forget his first name. Romeo, the Cuban UFC guy. He said there's no way he's that age. He's not 46 because what's that Cuban's name? What's the Cuban's name that has the infused neck that wrestles good? He's stocky and built like shit. Something Romeo. I forget his name. What's that guy's name? Yoel, right? Yoel Romeo, right? Romero. Yoel Romero said that there was no way Luis Ortiz is like 45. No, he said no, because I think he knew him. And how old is Yoel? Yoel is what, about 48, 49, right? How old is he now? I would love to see some Klitschko brothers go at it. Both were in their primes. Who do you think, Doctor? I don't know. I don't. Maybe Vitali would beat Becker. Fury had no camp for Wilder 3. He spent camp in the hospital, sleeping on the floor. How's you, Kurt? Mama Lou, I'm good. I'm good. Ortiz being avoided was an American narrative. Nobody outside the U.S. thought that. Okay. But I do get the how and why the narrative was pushed so hard. I believe it, though. I believe that Ortiz was ducked to a certain degree. But I also believe that a lot of people wanted to believe that because Wilder beat him. If Luis Ortiz and Wilder never fought, nobody would have gave a shit about Luis Ortiz. That's just what it is. Nobody would have cared. Nobody would have gave a shit about Ortiz because, for one, if you don't speak Spanish, you're not going to understand him anyway. And for two, he's not American. You know, most importantly, he's not black American. Fury got back-to-back bars. Yeah. Monday is the deadline. That dude, that was funny, boy. Nobody would have cared about Luis Ortiz. You know, he was just the only person credible on the resume of Wilder. You know? And because they knew that, Luis Ortiz could not do anything else. He couldn't fight Dillian White. He couldn't fight Alexander Povetkin. He couldn't fight a lot of those guys because they were keeping him on ice for Wilder. We need someone that's old enough. Now, it was still a gamble because Luis Ortiz fighting Deontay Wilder was a gamble. Wilder still got Luka. Time you dealt with it. You don't see out of shape Ruiz and McCauley being as great as out of shape Fury. No, because Fury is able to do what he can do when he was heavier. Mike Adams, counterpunch to you. Mike Adams in the building, people! Okay, good. AJ didn't duck Ortiz. Ortiz declined to fight Joshua June 19th. Get it right, man. Yeah, his team did. His team really did. But to tie it all in, man, we had a good night of fighting last night. I look forward to Andy Cruz, Terramona, Mr. Hitchinson as well. So I look forward to those guys coming back in the sport. Kurt, as a father, I'm happy my kids will see real fights again. Thanks, Turkey. Yeah, they weren't real last night because, you know, they didn't fight Mexican style. I get it. But happy Father's Day to you, Jose. I'm going to jump off of here. I wish everybody well. Stay tuned for tomorrow's videos and entertainment. Love you guys. Be blessed. And everyone has been counterpunched. Peace.